Good evening. Welcome to the September 22nd, 2014 Troy City Council meeting. We are pleased this evening to have Father J.J. Meck from the St. Anastasia Catholic Church with us this evening to lead us in our invocation. Father, if you would come forward and please stand and remain standing after the invocation for our Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening, Father.
Good evening. Thank you. So good and gracious God, we come to you at the beginning of our meeting this evening to express our gratitude. We thank you for life itself. We thank you for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thank you, Lord, for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriately our responsibilities. You have generously blessed the community of Troy with diversity and beauty and prosperity. So please bless us with your presence at our gathering here this evening. May we enter with the spirit of openness. May our words and our actions promote peace, order, and justice. We pray for our leaders. We ask that you grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicts and the issues of our day. May they be sensitive to the welfare and the needs of the citizens with whom they serve. May they work in harmony and love. And when we finally rest our heads tonight, may we do so knowing that we have honored you and discerned your will properly. And we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father. Troy City Council meeting is now called to order. The roll call, Ms. Bittner.
Mayor Slater.
Here.
Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Councilmember Fleming. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Henderson.
Here.
Councilmember Hoderick.
Here.
Councilmember Pennington.
Here.
Councilmember Teets.
Here. All present. Our first order of business is certificates of recognition and special presentations, and I have the honor this evening of doing two presentations, and I will move down to the podium to do those. C1 is the Certificate of Designation of Local Government Fellow presented to City Attorney Lori Grigg Bloom from the International Municipal Lawyers Association. If I could meet you at the podium, Lori, I'd be honored to present this plaque to you. As I said, Lori, this is a great honor for me because not only for these two awards, but for everything that you do for the city, all your volunteer work. It's just immeasurable what you do for our city, and I want to thank you for that. But I would also like to present the IMLA, which is the International Municipal Lawyers Association plaque, in recognition of continued demonstrated excellence in the field of local government law. They have conferred upon Lori Grigg Bloom the designation of Local Government Fellow 2004 to 2019. It is signed by their Executive Director, Charles Thomas, Jr., the General Counsel, the 2013-14 IMLA President, Cheryl King Benford, and it was presented this September of 2014, and it's my honor on behalf of the Troy City Council and the City of Troy to present this to you. Congratulations, job well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations. This looks very impressive. C2 is the 2014 Woman in the Law Award, which I will present to City Attorney Lori Grigg Bloom from the Michigan Lawyers Weekly. And Michigan Lawyers Weekly puts out a magazine, and this is the article, The Women in Law 2014, and they recognized and honored a group of 30 women who stand out in Michigan's legal profession. And I'm happy here to report that our City Attorney, Lori Grigg Bloom, has been named as one of those top 30 women as stand out in Michigan's legal profession. And if you go to page 5, there's a beautiful picture, and everything that you want to know about our city attorney is here. Probably some things that you probably don't want. I want to read this if I could, just a little bit. Lori, they did a little bit on her background, and she was the first person in her extended family to graduate from college, and the only lawyer in her family, at least so far. She attended Michigan Lutheran Seminary, a Saginaw residential high school dedicated to preparing students for a life in the ministry. But she transferred in the 11th grade when she decided that she wanted to pursue law as a career instead. And I can tell you this, we're very happy that I know there's some people that probably aren't happy that she changed her mind, but we are extremely happy, Lori, that you changed your mind. Lori, as you know, she is our city attorney. She's the president of the Michigan Association of Municipal Attorneys and the Michigan Municipal League Legal Defense Fund. She is involved in the Troy Community Coalition and the Women Lawyers Association of Michigan, and I believe you also belong to the Kiwanis. And it seems like every time I go somewhere where there's volunteerism or somebody's doing something for the city, Lori is always there. So on behalf, again, of the City of Troy, City Council, it's really my honor to present this vase inscribed with the Michigan Lawyers Weekly Woman in the Law 2014 to our City Attorney, Lori Grigg Bloom. Congratulations, Lori. I'll let you clear it.
It was obviously a pretty busy week because both of these were bestowed on the same week. So it was a great week for me. I just wanted to say thank you, Mayor, to you and to all of the city council members, and also to city administration, to my family, of course, and also to my fabulous staff, the members of the city attorney's office, and some great constituents out there. And thank you again, and I'm honored and very humbled.
Thank you, Lori. C3 is the Economic Development Activity Update with a presentation by Glenn Lapin, the Economic Development Specialist. Good evening, Glenn.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'd like to provide you with an update on economic development activity here in the city. And my report will cover the period from my last report, which is back in May, to approximately today. So according to CBRE, which is a major real estate brokerage house, CBRE has found that the office vacancy rate here in Troy during the second quarter of 2014 was about 22.5%. This compares to a year ago, the second quarter 2013 office vacancy rate of about 25%, and a second quarter 2012 vacancy rate in the office sector of 28%. So we are heading in the right direction in terms of those vacancy rates, which is downward. The 5-year office vacancy average is 26.5%. That includes some of the years during coming out of the economic downturn. These rates all exclude the Kmart headquarters, which is considered functionally obsolete and is not actively being marketed right now for office space. On the industrial side, Troy's industrial vacancy rate in the second quarter of 2014 was about 5.3%. This compares to a second quarter 2013 industrial vacancy rate of about 6% and a second quarter 2012 vacancy rate of about 10%. The 5-year industrial vacancy average is 11.1% on the industrial sector. So in both the office and industrial, we're seeing a lot of positive activity. On the retail side, we continue to see development. On the retail side, Big Beaver is starting to get filled up in terms of retail. So now I think a lot of developers are scratching around trying to find additional opportunities in that area, whether that means redevelopment, combining some parcels. They're looking at that as well. So we continue to see additional pressures along Big Beaver for retail development. We are seeing definite enhancement of activity of retail development in the Maple-Livernois area. This is due to the new MJR Grand Theaters. In particular, on the south side of the MJR Theaters along Livernois, there's a new proposed retail development going to go up there, hopefully where those vacant buildings are right now. Some vacant retail space has been abandoned for years. So we look forward to that happening. The feedback I'm getting from commercial brokers kind of verifies this information. They're seeing a lot in the office sector, still a lot of activity, that a lot to do with the economy, a lot of interest in Troy as a location for their business. They are seeing, however, pressures on the industrial side. So a lot of the industrial, due to those low vacancy rates, some of the older properties that have not been refurbished over the years, many of them from 1950s, 1960s, smaller, sometimes a little more challenging in terms of redevelopment. So industrial brokers have expressed kind of a, they're looking for additional space that might be out there. On the larger side, and when some users want much larger space, that becomes even more challenging because just isn't the land that's available all in one place. So we continue to work with our various partners in terms of identifying those opportunities, and we're going to take a hard look at a lot of that, particularly along the Maple Corridor during the master plan redevelopment process. I'd like to highlight some of the projects for you that have come in the last couple of months. The map that's shown up here kind of highlights all of them. I'm just going to focus on a couple of them just to give you an idea of what's been going on out there. By far the largest project that we've seen in the last couple of months is S&P Data. This is a large data processing facility. They're going to be going to 340 East Big Beaver, which used to be occupied by Flagstar Bank and their mortgage operations. So again, more office space along Big Beaver getting filled up, which is really good. And what they are going to be proposing is over the next 3 years, bring in about 420 employees. So that's going to be a huge boon to the retail in that area and to the uses along those areas. So we want to see more of that happening. And they deal a lot with Fortune 500 companies as well, which helps spread the word even better in terms of the good stuff going on. It's a $4.4 million project, and we look forward to an opening there. They're trying to get something going towards the end of October, and we'll keep you informed of that as well. Unified Business Technology is another project that's in the southeast corner of the city. They're currently here. But they purchased the building next door. They're getting some new government contracts, and what they want to do is expand into that building. They're going to start renovation over there. That's another 171 jobs over 3 years that they're looking at, too. So very positive activity. You've been to several of the groundbreakings, the ribbon cuttings, so I don't need to go through the whole list. You can see them up there. One other project you might be seeing as you're driving along I-75 is Field & Stream Store. It's now under construction. That's in the old Circuit City location behind Oakland Mall. So that'll be a major destination, about 50,000 square feet. They're similar to a Bass World. They are owned by Dick's Sporting Goods. So it's their first location in Michigan, about their 6th location in the United States. So we're very pleased to have them here as well. One thing that I've been noticing, like in the kinds of development activity that's taking place, is the variety, and kind of also it's a mix between current businesses that are expanding where they are and new businesses coming in from out of town. So it's nice to have that mix. When a company is from out of town, from out of state, and they want to identify their first Michigan location, they're picking Troy. We're thrilled that S&P is here, and there's a great example of that. So it's good to see that mix. We're also seeing a heavy emphasis on international companies that are coming in. Several of the ones I mentioned here are internationally headquartered. So again, Troy continues to be a very important location for international businesses. They want to be here in the heart of the auto industry, in the heart of Southeast Michigan, and they're picking Troy because of that location. So we're very pleased to see that. So we continue to see that expansion, and we believe that we're going to continue to see more as well. We're working on a couple additional projects that will hopefully be coming through in the next few months, and we continue hopefully to make that happen. So happy to answer any questions if you like. And you might notice in front of you, there's a little kind of a card here that has a list of projects. What this does, it's kind of a little cheat sheet for you as you go out amongst visiting the community, talking to various businesses, trying to think of some of the new development projects that have taken place out there. This kind of summarizes some of the recent development activities since the beginning of the year, so it's a little bit bigger than in terms of what I'm talking about now. And this combines some of the projects that the planning department has seen and the building department as well. So this includes some of the residential projects, some of the hotel projects that are out there. So it gives you an idea of kind of what's out there, how many jobs they're looking at, the location. There's a small map on here as well. We'll continue to update this as we go along, as we make future reports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Glenn? Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
C4 has been added to the agenda this evening, and that is a historic village capital improvement project update with a presentation by Lorraine Campbell, the museum director. Good evening, Lorraine.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Good evening.
This year, the City of Troy allocated funds through your capital improvement program for two significant projects at the Troy Historic Village, and both of them are underway right now. I thought we'd give you a quick update. The first one is the Pathways Project, and it involved two parts. Drainage has always been an issue at the village. We're sort of a shallow bowl, and after many storms, we have a lot of ponding and pooling. We needed to address those drainage problems. They were becoming more significant as time went on. Also, the paver pathways that were installed over 20 years ago had deteriorated to the point where they were presenting safety hazards. Through your investment in the Troy Historic Village, we have completed the drainage improvements, and the new pathways, which are stamped dyed concrete, are now in. There's been a lot of bulldozer activity going on, a lot of piles of aggregate and soil in the village. They're disappearing. Today, half of the village was graded. The sod will start coming in tomorrow, and it is our goal to have this project completed by September 30th. We're very thankful for that because there's a bride arriving on October the 3rd. Second, the heating system in the 1927 Township Hall had not been improved for 45 years. We were still operating on the original steam radiators and a used boiler, which was installed back in 1969. The city inspector said, or state inspector for boilers said, "Really? How much longer do you think this is going to last?" And we are very grateful to the city for providing funds to develop a new high-efficiency hot water heating system, which will improve service in the building and also decrease costs. That heating system is being installed presently, and that completion date will be October 25th. We realize that these are significant capital investments by the City of Troy. We do not take those investments lightly. We recognize that it is your vote of confidence in the village as as a resource and in the Historical Society as the managers of that resource. We are very grateful, and we wanted to say thank you publicly. I also want to thank the city inspectors who have been on the job for the last couple of weeks on the Pathways project. They have been outstanding and are a real credit to the city of Troy and to the engineering department. I wanted to tell you also that we discovered a little history in the process. We have a young interpreter, Alex Konechny, who is come on staff. He's a great historian, but he's also an archaeologist. And when they were digging trenches to put in that system, he was right out there with them and unearthed, sifted through all of the soil, and found this arrowhead. Among other artifacts, the arrowhead dates to between 200 and 1100 years ago and is from the Northern Woodlands culture. He also went back to his professors at Oakland University and Dr. Mike Stafford at Cranbrook and verified the authenticity of the arrowhead, and it's going to be the centerpiece of an exhibit that we want to do on pre-settlement culture. So it shows that we just keep unearthing our history as we go along. Lastly, I want to give you an invitation to city staff, to the members of council, and to everyone in Troy for a very special fundraising event that we're going to be doing in the village. This is one of the steps we have to growing our resources and becoming operationally sustainable, and we want to have a great time. We are hosting the Scarecrow Glow on Wednesday evening, October 22nd from 6 to 9 p.m. We have 8 outstanding restaurants, wineries, and breweries bringing in food and beverage for this event. There will be strolling bluegrass music. There will be strolling jazz. You can make a s'more at our s'more station. Our blacksmiths will be hammering. And our theme this year is Alice in Wonderland. So when you come, you are going through the rabbit hole. I guarantee you, you will meet a big white rabbit, and the queen will be there. And the only time she'll get upset with you, you can wear a costume if you'd like. The other attire is flannel optional. The only time she'll take you to task is if you wear a shirt and tie. So we want you to be comfortable. We want you to have a great time. We want you to support the Troy Historical Society and the city's investment in the village. Tickets are $40 per person in advance, $50 at the door. If you have friends, colleagues, or if the entire council would like to come together, if you buy 9 tickets, we'll give you a 10th one for free. $25 for each ticket is tax deductible. Just go to our website. You can order your tickets online. You can snag David Zuzza at the break. He'll be glad to sell you a ticket. You can send us a check. We really appreciate your support, and we'll continue to do our best. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Any questions for Lorraine this evening? Good news. Thank you. Thank you. There are no carryover items or public hearings this evening. I don't see that anyone has signed up for public comment for items on the agenda from Troy residents or businesses. So we will move past City Council, City Administration response. There are no postponed items, so we move to regular business. I-1A are my mayoral appointments. I have one mayoral appointment this evening. So resolved that the mayor of the city of Troy hereby appoints Frank Bowden, student, to serve on the Planning Commission for a term to expire 7/31/2015. Support. Moved by the chair and supported by Councilman Pennington that we appoint Frank Bowden, student, to the Planning Commission for the term to expire 7/31/2015. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell? Yes. Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations to Frank. I will turn the microphone over to Mayor Pro Tem Henderson for City Council appointment.
Resolved that the City Council hereby appoints the following nominated persons to serve on the boards and committees as indicated. For the Liquor Advisory Committee, Robert Huber, a student, for a term expiring July 30th, 2015.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson, supported by Councilman Fleming, that we appoint Robert Huber, student, to the Liquor Advisory Committee for the term to expire 7/31/2015. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bitter?
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes. Motion passes. Congratulations to Robert Huber. I-2 are board and committee nominations. This evening, I will nominate for the Downtown Development Authority, Ward Randall Jr., Ernie Reschke, and Douglas Schroeder for the terms that expire on 9/30 of 2018.
Support.
Moved by the chair and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson that we nominate for the DDA Authority Ward Randall Jr., Ernest Reschke, and Douglas Schroeder for the terms to expire 9/30 of 2018. Discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Motion passes. I will turn the microphone over to Mayor Pro Tem Henderson for City Council nominations.
Resolved that the Troy City Council hereby forwards the following nominated persons to serve on the boards and committees as indicated to the next regular City Council meeting for action. The first one being the Animal Control Appeal Board, Jane Sager, for a term expiring 9/30/2017, and Steve Toth for a term expiring 9/30/2017. And then on the Parks and Rec Board, Janice Zakakis for a term expiring 9/30/2017.
Support. Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson, supported by Councilman Campbell, that we appoint Jane Sager and Steve Toth to the Animal Control Appeal Board for the terms that expire 9/30/2017, and Janice Zukakis to the nominee to the Parks and Recreation Board for the term to expire 9/30/2017. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bittner?
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Motion passes. I-3 is a closed session request. There are none this evening. I-4. I am happy to call I-4 the approval of Amtrak lease agreement for the Troy Multimodal Transit Facility with an introduction of Steve Vandett, our city engineer.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor and Council. I'm not just happy to be here, I'm ecstatic to be here tonight, finally to present the Amtrak lease agreement for your approval. This has been a long time coming. It's been about 2 years since we first started our discussions with Amtrak, and on several occasions we were very close to approval, but this project has a way of throwing curveballs at just the right moment, and it wasn't until a few months ago when the issue with the Oakland County Circuit Court, when they returned legal title to the city, that we were able to proceed with negotiations with Amtrak. And the last few months, it's been Lori who's been doing most of that, and Prior to that, I did most of the negotiations as far as the business aspects of the lease. So, on to the lease. The lease is for 20 years. It's the same length as our agreement with FRA to build the station. It would take effect within 30 days after execution. And the part that I am most happy to report is that all 100% of operation and maintenance costs are reimbursed by Amtrak. It's not up on the screen. They are reimbursed by Amtrak and in turn reimbursed by MDOT in accordance with the Federal Passenger Rail Investment and Improvement Act of 2008, or PREA as it's known. There are 3 divisions of operation and maintenance costs, and if they were on the screen.
I think there were, Steve, in the interim, everyone has a copy.
Everyone has a copy of it, okay. There are 3 divisions of operation and maintenance costs. Division 1 is facility maintenance. It includes the building, the bridge, the platform. That is Division 1, and each division is tied to a section of the Amtrak lease. And Division 1 is the Amtrak lease section 5A1. And as mentioned, that is building, bridge, facility maintenance items. Division 2 is the common areas. That is tied to Amtrak lease section 5A2, section 2. And the third division is insurance, and that's tied to section 5A3 of the lease. The total estimated cost at this time is approximately $51,000. Division 1 is $38,000 approximately. Division 2 is $12,000, and Division 3 is about $1,000. As I mentioned, these are all reimbursed, no matter what they are, no matter what the amount. They are all reimbursed by Amtrak on a quarterly basis, and Amtrak is reimbursed by MDOT in accordance with the Federal PREA Act. We believe that with the execution of the lease, that the transit center could be open in 3 to 4 weeks. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. Here we go.
There it is.
There it is.
Questions for Steve this evening?
That's great.
Councilman Teets?
Probably a question folks have at home is, so this would cover if something continues to break or a maintenance issue continues to pop up, Amtrak will reimburse us for that amount, correct?
Correct. Operation and maintenance.
Right, so it's not a fixed number. If the elevator continue to break or something like that, you know, we submit our reimbursement request.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, I think people would be, I think at home, curious about that. If in fact it's a fixed number, but actually it's the true reimbursement for the expenses and so forth.
That is correct, the true amount.
I know council did ask city administration some questions along those lines today, and you know, the bottom line is it's 100% reimbursement. Doesn't matter what the amount is, and that's been the goal since day one, and we were able to achieve that goal. But that does not preclude us from still partnering with the chamber and getting funds available for future capital expenses and things of that nature, correct?
That is correct. It does not preclude us from doing that, absolutely.
Any questions for Steve? Councilman Fleming.
Oh, just a comment. I was going to wait till after the resolution, but I think it's appropriate now. I think this council is very pleased with this lease agreement. I know, for one, made a commitment to the taxpayers and citizens of Troy that this would not be a burden on the taxpayers. So I'm pleased looking at this lease. The way I understand it, we've got this covered for 20 years plus I think 20 years plus a renewal for 10, if I'm correct, talk to the city attorney. So this is not a short-term lease. This is something that the citizens of Troy can be rest assured it's not going to be using taxpayer funds to cover the operating expenses. And as Mayor Slater mentioned, in addition to that, we have the Chamber partnership. We're working on contingencies for capital improvement, so we still have their backing as well. So really pleased with this.
Steve, I can't tell you thanks enough for all you've done on this. I know that this has been a strain on you. Nobody, nobody said this was going to be easy, but nobody said it was going to be this difficult either. And, you didn't ask for this. The city gave it to you, and Lori and the city administration. And, on behalf of the city council, I want to just say thank you.
Thank
for all your hard work.
Thank you very much.
And I look forward to cutting that ribbon over there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Fleming.
Mayor, I'm pleased to move the resolution I-4, resolve that the lease agreement between the City of Troy and Amtrak for Amtrak's use of the Troy Transit Center is hereby approved, and be it further resolved that the mayor and city clerk are authorized to execute this agreement, a copy of which shall be attached to the original minutes of this meeting.
Support. Everybody's supporting.
Moved by Councilman Fleming and supported by the entire council at the table. Any further discussion? The vote, Ms. Bittner.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations to everyone. Next is the consent agenda. Is there any items that council wishes to pull this evening? If I could have a resolution then. Mayor Pro Tem Henderson.
Resolved that we approve all items on the consent agenda as printed.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Henderson, supported by Councilman Fleming, that we approve all items on the consent agenda as presented and printed in the agenda. Discussion. The vote, Ms. Bittner.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Councilmember Teetz?
Yes.
Mayor Slater?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Motion passes. If you were here on a consent agenda item this evening, they have all been approved. K is memorandums and future council agenda items. There are none submitted this evening. Next is public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. And I will call on Jim Werpetinsky, Troy resident. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City staff, and Troy residents. First of all, I just want to congratulate Lori Bloom, our crack city attorney. It's not often that people get 2 awards in the same night, so thanks for all the good stuff you do for us, Lori. And you might note that, she still has time to do other things like be on the board of the wonderful Troy Community Coalition, so thanks for that, too. At the August 25th meeting, Brent Savidan gave a presentation on the master plan process. Thought he did an excellent job. And amongst other things, he mentioned that there'll be a senior forum component to that. And as the mayor speculated, I was elated to hear that the seniors were going to be involved this time. As you know, I've advocated for the seniors on a number of occasions. I've talked a little before about the Friends of the Troy Seniors Organization. They were formed after the city did some cutbacks a few years ago because of the money situation. And essentially they do most of the things that Parks and Recs used to provide over there. They bring people in for concerts. We had a ice cream social for the seniors last month, and we didn't have a picnic this year. Last year we had a picnic. And then we do some other things, not just for the seniors, but also for the betterment of the community as a whole. Got the flu shots coming up October 14th at the community center. Oakland County Health Division is putting that on, but they're partnering with the seniors organization. Will be providing the logistics, crowd control, registration, all that kind of stuff. And then on October 7th, we have the document shredding, which is done out by the skate park. We do it twice a year. Here again, that's not just for seniors. Anybody can come and get that shredded. So they're a fairly active organization and do some good things. They also do the arms and the legs for things that Parks and Rec still does do themselves, like the Senior Expo. So they had a meeting last week, and I told them about how they're going to be included in the forum, and they were elated about that as well. Wade Fleming was there and told them a little bit about what's going on with the city, and Paula Fleming and Nancy Philippart from the school board were there and filled them in a little bit on the school district. And by the way, those folks are joining the Friends of Troy Seniors. Because you don't have to be a senior, by the way, to belong. About 600 members right now. It's free, no strings attached, other than you want to be a friend of the seniors. If you so desire, you can volunteer, you can come to meetings, you can donate, whatever. If you don't want to do anything but join, that's fine too. Mayor Slater and I are both members. Mayor Slater has volunteered to speak anytime they want. He did do an impromptu speech at the picnic we had before.
Thank you, Jim. I'm sorry your 3 minutes are up.
Oh, time's up? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to give some registrations here today. We need to pass out for you so you folks can vote.
Thank you. It's a great organization. I'm proud to be a member. Next, I'll call on James Savage, Troy resident. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I hope you missed me and didn't forget me. Ms. Bloom, I would like to congratulate you on your awards. If you recall, and maybe you don't, many years ago, soon after you took over the position, I made some very positive comments and support of you. I think during the interim years, there was probably one time when I started to waver a little bit, but I still stand by my original comments. Anyhow, there's a meeting scheduled on October the 1st at Troy's Community Center to discuss traffic, walkways, and bike paths. I recall attending a similar meeting many, many years ago. The discussion centered on recreational biking. When the talk went to a bike path from Rochester to Detroit, I reminded the meeting that we did not have sidewalks to elementary schools in Troy. Needless to say, my comments were not very well received. We have had wide sidewalks on Big Beaver for about 15 years, but still no pedestrians and no bikes. I'm by there all the time. I live near that area. So which proves that if you build it, they don't come. There has to be the demand. And just one block north of there on Heartland, the only street in the whole block, the whole square mile block, that is a through street. The street is narrow and there's no sidewalks. Everybody that works in City Hall and goes to the east side, they go on Heartland and you know what it's like. And no sidewalks. And in the winter, when the snow is piled up, that is a very narrow street that the kids have to walk on. A few months ago, I brought before council a plan to construct a bike path from the west end of Trombley through City-owned Parkland to Town Center Drive on Livernois, about a quarter of a mile. This would connect the community center, the library, City Hall, the police department, with hundreds of residents, and a safe path without going on any dangerous streets at all. We have a lot of big families in that area that they cannot provide cars for all their kids. I have discussed this with staff who have only positive comments. I hope the attendees at this October meeting will give priority to what I consider necessary walking and cycling, and that is kids and people who don't have the other means of transportation to get just a few blocks.
Mr. Savage, your 3 minutes are up. I encourage you to come to the meetings that are scheduled, and how much more did you have to go?
A few seconds. Okay. Yeah, I will try to get to the meetings, but I'm not sure that I can. I believe the Trombley to Town Centre Drive bike path could be completed before winter at very little cost. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no council referrals this evening, so we will move to council comments. Councilman Teets?
A couple weeks ago, I asked the city manager if he could break out how many city employees live in this city of Troy or live outside the city of Troy, and it's because I had no idea, and he came back and showed that approximately 1/5 of the city employees actually live in the city. The remaining 80% or so live elsewhere. And I think there's a lot of benefit we derive as a city when employees live here and they can see how the decisions and policies that are implemented affect people's real life. And I think what I was hoping the council could agree on tonight would just be to have our city manager maybe look at some of the incentive programs to encourage people to live here. Obviously, I think there's a state law that says we can't force people to live in Troy, but I don't think, I think some just good natured encouragement or incentives or whatnot would be a positive thing, because, I believe the employees are good people and certainly happy to have them as neighbors. So I just wanted to bring that up, and if anyone would tend to agree or not, but I think it's just something that at least deserves some review at this point. And I was shocked by the numbers. I thought, maybe it's 50% or 70% live in the city, but when only 1 out of every 5 does, that isn't very, very good for our city. And for those people that are implementing the policies and making the managerial decisions, it always helps if you can drive down the street and say, gosh, I didn't realize this was going to be the impact, or maybe if we tweak this and tweak that. I think it makes for a better city. So all that said, I don't know if anyone else on the council would like to see that sort of direction from the city manager. If not, I'll just quietly go back into my corner, but hopefully some other folks do.
Thank you. Councilman Fleming?
Just a comment. I remember reading that report, and thank you, City Manager Kishnick, for putting together, and Councilman Teets for asking for it. One thing I did notice in that report, I don't have the numbers exactly, but the part-time workers, the people that are part-time work for the City of Troy, non-full-time, over 50% of those live in the city, if I'm correct. Am I correct?
You are. It was mainly due to the election inspectors, though.
Yeah. So that's a kind of sway, but
It's a bit skewed.
bit skewed. Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Henderson?
I would support Councilman Teets' idea of pursuing some mechanism to incentivize people to at least look at the city of Troy.
Any other comments? I don't have any problem with asking the city manager to come back to the city council with some ideas, and I think that's all you're asking for.
Yeah, let's.
So I'll support that. Incentive programs are not a bad thing. So 3 ideas, or should we leave that up to Mr. Kishnick?
I say let the city manager manage. I'll stay out of his way and just let him decide what, some ideas, a menu.
We have consensus here to, no? I think we have enough consensus, so look forward to hearing that. Any other council comments? Councilwoman Hoderick.
I do want to point out that when we have police officers who end up working in our undercover aspect, and Mayor, you can speak to this probably even more than I can, some who lived here found themselves wanting to not be here when they were spotted and purposely pick areas that are further away so that they can remain undercover. There are times when people have good reasons for where they've chosen to live, but then remain very committed to the community in other ways. For example, with the Troy Community Coalition and the aspects where they volunteer. So just thinking through this incentive, living here is one way to be very involved in the community, but working here and being involved in other ways is also something that we benefit from when we have employees who do that. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think the only way that you become a part of the fabric of this community when you work here in this municipality is because your house is here. And so if we're going to incentivize, I guess I'd like to entertain the thought of making it a broader view of what you're ultimately looking for, Councilman Teets, is people who are very engaged here and understand exactly how they impact the community with their decisions and work. And I think that comes in multiple ways, not just by having a home here.
Well, I agree with that, but I think at this point, we're looking at classified and exempt. Is that correct?
That would be what I would bring back, something discussing classified and exempt, because all the other union contracts have been negotiated.
Correct. I think at this point,
Which is a very good thing, by the way.
Which is a very good thing. But
Yes.
at this point, there are obvious reasons why police may be exempt from looking at that at this point. Councilman Campbell.
So what's the goal? Is the goal to have good people working for the city, or is the goal to have people who live in the city work for the city? Right now, everybody sits up here and says we got the greatest employees in the world. Now we're saying, well, you're great, but you don't live in the city. So what's the purpose of doing all this? Just to, every other city that has tried this has failed. Nobody can enforce it. So why are we spending time to do something at the end of the day that we can't enforce and wasting the city's time to look at something like this? Not to be negative.
And you're definitely not. I don't take that as a negative comment in the least, Councilman. I think that if the VPs at GM showed up in Fords or Toyotas to work, there'd be people go, why? That doesn't make sense. If Troy is good enough a city to win national awards and so forth, I think it's a great place to live. And I don't want to make this, it's not something to exclude people, it's something to encourage people to live here. And I'm going to leave it up to the city manager to decide what that looks like, and I don't pretend to have expertise in municipal government that he does, and so, but I think it's to encourage the folks that we have. It's a positive thing, so.
At this point, I'm agreeing to let the city manager come back with some ideas. He may come back with an idea and say, I don't think it's a good idea. And then we may be done. But I'm agreeing to a council member wants to see what their possibilities might be out there. That's all I'm agreeing to at this point. So just wait to hear back from the city manager, and if he says it's a good idea and maybe this is what we could do, then I think we'll all listen to that. Any other council comments? Next are reports. Does anyone on the council have any comments on the reports that were included in the agenda this evening? I don't see that anyone has signed up for comments on the agenda or not on the agenda from members from the public outside of Troy. There are no study items. There is no closed session this evening. So we are adjourned. Thank you for attending this evening.